Hi there, Terry from DotPointz, and today we're talking about how to set yourself above and to go the extra mile. This all adds to your personal brand because most will only do what's required. So we talk a lot about professional brand at DotPointz, and one of the key things that you can do to make a really strong and positive impression on your professional brand is to arrive at work before your start time. So what you commonly see in the workplace, and this excludes those workplaces where you have to actually clock in and clock off. I don't know, quite honestly, how common that is in workplaces these days, particularly in offices. Certainly in my experience, and I live in the Southern Hemisphere, it's not common in an office place. It might in an office workplace, but it might be in other areas. But what you find is, let's say a start time is 9 o'clock in the morning, is people might rock up just before 9, but by the time they've put their bag down, said good morning, gone and got a cup of coffee from the kitchen, gone to the bathroom, set up their computer, and they're actually sitting down working, it might be 10 past 9, quarter past 9. So you will set yourself apart from the crowd and make an impression that's a positive one if you can still do all those things, but actually be sitting at your desk ready to work on your start time. To me, that's really a simple way of going the extra mile because most don't and won't. The second thing that I suggest is that you actually put your hand up to do activities or tasks or mini projects that are outside of your current brief or role or position description, because most people won't do that. And they won't do that because they're afraid that they won't be able to manage their current workload if they put their hand up to do something that's outside of their actual brief. But if you do put your hand up, what you're actually showing your management team is that you're wanting to learn something different and new, that you're ready to take on a challenge, that you're ready to push outside the boundaries of your comfort zone, and that you're someone who just is willing to give it a go. And that's a really great thing in the workplace. So the third thing I would recommend is that you do what you say you will do when you say you will do it. So this is about actually, if you say, yes, I'll get that information to you by the close of business today, make sure you do. I know that sounds really logical and simple, but you'll be surprised at how we get so busy in a work day as administrators. We know that, or if we're in the middle to lower ranks of the company, that oops, we forget it. But if you say you're going to do something and then you follow through and do it, you actually build a reputation. People, that sort of information settles into the psyche of your workplace, of your colleagues, but most importantly, of your managers. So if you say you're going to do something, just make sure you do it. It's a simple rule, but it's a rule that really adds those strong foundation layers to a great personal brand. Tip number 4 in this particular one is make sure that there's a bit of finesse and flair in the work that you do. So I'm not suggesting that you be all fancy. I am suggesting that if you're presenting a report, for example, or you've drafted something for your manager, as much as possible, and typos are a terrible thing, they just creep in and quite often your brain will correct them, but make sure that you've spell checked it and grammar checked it. Make sure it's formatted properly. Make sure that if you've been asked to organize a particular event, that everything runs smoothly, food arrives on time, everything, there's a running sheet to go with it. Just ensure that everything that you do just has that level of class about it, that it doesn't look rushed and hurried, even though it might have been, but it's just taking care with the quality of your work before you present it out to others. That'll help build your brand, and it's about going that extra mile because many people don't. And part of that has to do with we're all so busy in this day and age. We find that companies are asking us to do more work with less resources, but nevertheless, just add a bit of that finesse and class to the work that you do and you will stand out from the crowd. So the last thing I would add is remember that people talk positively or negatively, and as you do these few things and add to your brand, your positive reputation will get around. And wouldn't it be nice to be talked about in a positive way, to be mentioned in a meeting behind your back in a complimentary way? And those things can happen, and word gets around just what kind of employee you are if you just go the extra mile, because it's about not only building your brand, but here at DotPointz we're also all about in times when companies are downsizing, it's really important that you build your brand to give yourself the best chance of maintaining the role that you have, if indeed that's what you want to do. Be well in the workplace today.